of the EU Regional, the last match of the day. Then me and Barrett get to go take and cuddle up with our cats and nap for the rest of the day. We have Daniel Osa on Godzilla King of the Monsters versus Kevin Gomez on Izuku Midoriya on the move. Tell me your expectations going into this match.
We were kind of talking about it, obviously, with in between our time frame before this match got to rolling, and there's two sides to this I think that are really worth paying attention to. I think the storyline, you can't make this up. This is exactly what I was hoping to see here. Very high level Spain local representative UniVersus players showing that their local players are good enough to compete and play at the highest level, and one of these winners is going to walk away. And these are all people that know and respect each other. On the other end, the actual format look at. You have the talk of the town, the king of the monsters himself, Godzilla, the most represented character not only for this tournament, but the biggest slice of pie on the pie chart we've seen for a while in our game. Having 3 of them convert to top cuts, have all 3 of them convert to top 4, and one of them making it all the way to the finals. It just makes sense. And its opponent in Kevin Gomez's list. The other talk of the town in our brand new format, Midoriya on the move, representing 5 symbols on his character, having a whole slew of support now across all 5 of those symbols with attunement, having one of the largest card pools in the entire game, thinking to be the menace of the TMNT format going forward, having a chance to prove everyone that he might just be the boogeyman of this set format. So that's what I think the storyline really is who is going to win? This tried and true fundamentals character of Godzilla that has a lot of praise in the Spain community, or a Midoriya finally has their time in the sun, a spotlight of the format, maybe getting its regional victory here.
It would be very cool to see the main character of My Hero, a set, an IP that has taken our game and exploded it so far, to finally see the main character win a tournament. I know who I'm rooting for personally, but I want to jump into the decks and see what's going on, starting with Kevin T. Izuku Midoriya on the move. On the air symbol, here's the pitch, ladies and gentlemen. We have Phantom Threat, a 5/3/4 mid for 5 from set 5 with a blue UniVersus back. When you take and you turn your whole stage sideways using the transform side, Midoriya Quirks Unleashed, you make the world's biggest Phantom Threat, and you fire one massive smash Phantom Threat right down Godzilla's gullet. But the name of the game here is you have to stabilize and keep yourself alive versus what the King of the Monsters is doing. So answers to answers to answers is going to be key here so that we can find this one really big move to close out the game. Thoughts on Midoriya, Barrett?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not just the offensive potential you talked about, but I'm looking at some key defensive pieces that we're going to have access to. The main boarded 4X Aries Smile is exactly the kind of text that we talked about being answers to characters like Godzilla in the format. And the fact that we're mainboarding 4 of them is a good reason to play this character on the air symbol, as it does share 2 symbols with a character, but a meaningful choice in that kind of department. Other stuff like Cape and Overturn, but on the other side, we know the Chaos deck and these 6 checks playing things like Plaster Walls, the assets might not be as good of cards to be sporting with, because here we have Daniel Osa's deck here. The one that ended up being the best Godzilla in the room that made it to finals is the one that the City Rampage deck that's not playing 4. Playing only 3 of them and having this high focused on board control with things like Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken, and having your own stage look a little healthy and look your hand a little healthy with the Titan Cliff plus 6 check package that this deck is representing and having a lot of success with.
Yeah, Godzilla here and Daniel Osa is for sure going to be the pacemaker of this match. As soon as Godzilla takes their foot off of the gas and eases up even one turn, it will give Midoriya the breathing room that they need in order to come in and secure, stabilize, and find that victory. So Daniel for sure is going to be pedal to the metal the entire way for this entire game, and the onus is going to be on Midoriya to stave off that offense.
And that's the thing too, even having access to the once per game board reset being used at an opportune time, mattering a lot in the Midoriya matchup because it means your stage can't get wide enough. And typically Midoriyas have answers to board resets of if they're things like unyielding destruction, which we've seen have no success this tournament.
Yeah.
But Godzilla's can't be canceled, and it is a once per game that Midoriya must respect and find a way to rebuild their stage from if we ever see that button get pressed in the matchup.
So, without further ado, I'm sure that the main stage has been set. No, they're not ready. They're still yapping.
They are yapping.
Oh. Then I guess that we will continue to yap as well, and I get
That was some good vamp
this.
we did, though.
It
was a great segue into you wanted it right there. I know you did.
Very much so. Hey, there
Oh!
it is. As we are,
We were a little off sync with our fellow commentator.
just
friend.
a wee bit. But it looks like I'm behind. It appears. Okay,
Oh, you
there
are
we go.
not live.
I was not live apparently. But here it is, the finals. Midoriya on the move versus Godzilla, King of the Monsters, with Midoriya going first. A huge boon, I think, in this matchup. Get you set up and stabilize it to try and survive the onslaught that Godzilla will be slinging their way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing impactful cards kind of hit the stage. Of course, Guardian of Chinatown is really good when you're playing against other decks that are trying to reset some damage, but that is not the name of the game for this aggressive Godzilla deck. We're not going to see a lot of defensive damage reduction as we play our own Guardian of Chinatown that both of these characters have access to, having the water symbol on their character card, but not really going to see a lot of those plays being made, except for the fact that on the front side of Midoriya on the move, there is a damage kind of reduction type ability, right? Or setting discard of Estus cards, reduce an attack's damage to 1, and Guardian would protect you from that.
Who cares about that, though, because we instantly commit our 3 foundations and transform into Midoriya Quirks Unleashed. Flashing a move, saying you never get to see the enhanced step, and reducing the speed of your attack to 1, very easily blockable, and drawing a bonus card on top of that, saying that, if you have some impactful blitz or enhances that you want to do, like, I don't know, +2 to your check from Godzilla, you no longer get access to it, as well as our win condition is now online. We have to be on the Quirks Unleashed side in order to start turning our foundations in our stage sideways to increase our stats by +3/+3 for every 2 foundations, and then sling the world's biggest attack.
I think this is the most volatile turn for Kevin here. I think we turned half of our stage sideways to turn into this very aggressive character with only 1 defensive ability, whereas the front side on the move has this kind of repeatable turn my foundations into -3 speed buttons. But Daniel having a really strong start here of trying to sculpt a turn by pressing all these form speed draw cards or response timing to try and really put a good offensive here, because if there's any time that's going to happen, the weakest that Kevin is going to be, it's the turn you transform into Quirks Unleashed, having to commit these cards in your stage, and we're not going for the board reset either, so we're going to try and make a move offensively. Starting things off, first attack of the game of your finals, Smashing Stomp, and it's the chibi one. We love how they look.
It's super cute, super impactful. We know that the main defensive trick of this Midoriya deck is things like Airy Smile. If you have a high attack and you run your run face first into this, it says that you can no longer play an attack card afterwards as your next form. It's got to be something else. So the fact that we didn't get a chance to lubricate our check or anything is pretty high impact. Whoa, that's crazy. Just raw on the 6 for the unfazed.
Yeah.
Checks
Yeah,
the
6,
5
7
and just
here.
lets it rock. Wowzers.
Checks the 6 because of the enhance from the Smashing Stomp. It didn't get flashed, so we did have that enhanced step of +1. And here's the other scary part, Tam. This is the one that you don't really want to flash because there's going to be a block trick that happens that we get to use. But your block trick, I can answer with one of my own, the Airy Smile block coming in here saying, yeah, you're going to get +1 to your check because of the unfazed response when it's blocked, +1 to your checks to play attack cards. To play cards in general. Mm-hmm. But the Airy Smile says you have to weave in a non-attack card as your next form before you can even decide to make an attack, if that's what you're going to do. great defense, has to weave in this horrifying realization. And we are
Yeah.
going to have +1 to the check still to play it, so it is safe to play even something like a 2 difficulty card here instead. And that looks like to be the adjustment on a 4, check a 4 because of the unfazed. And the question is, do we continue attacks? We're
6,
going to go
7, 8,
for it.
9.
Titan Cliff, 6, 7, 8, 9, +1 to our check. Checks a 6, 7, 8, 9 for those 3. And we
Yeah.
have a relatively still healthy stage, and the flash response has been used, and we fought through an Ares Smile. I think it's time to cash in some real damage on this Midoriya.
Yeah, when I said that Daniel says that Godzilla was supposed to put the pressure on and not let up, this is not what I was expecting. I did not expect 5 diff into printed 6, into foundation, into printed 6 on turn 2 with such limited resources. But good checks abound says that we get to make plays like this. And if we want to, if we are lucky enough with this finally free flipping, stealing a momentum, using Godzilla, there might even be an additional attack coming if we so choose. It looks like that's exactly what we're doing. +2 to our next check, +3 because of the unfazed that was blocked earlier. Ooh, this is going to be a lot of damage coming down Kevin on turn 2.
And plus 2 ready foundations and Godzilla in our name, we can easily cash in the 9 damage there, and then playing one of our heaviest hitting move in the entire deck. It's going to be the Heat Ray, but we did check a 3. It was a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We checked a 6.
5, 6.
We can only get to
7, 8.
we can only get to 9 with our 3 ready cards,
Yeah.
so it does fail, and we don't get to cash in on a heavy, big move like that Heat Ray, which would have been really nice for the tempo on the side of Daniel. But instead, going to build our return to, or a moment of normalcy that we did weave in because of the Ares Smile, and it's back over to Kevin, having basically gotten away from that turn, only losing 9 life.
Yeah, massive sigh of relief on Kevin's end. Just saying, hey, I need to make sure that I can keep my health total as high as possible, because there's 2 phases of the game, right, Barrett? There is blocking, surviving, making sure that we are A-okay, and then there's also the idea of how much do I have to impact. Love the sweeping daggers play coming in. I have to make my board look fragile enough to not have it be destroyed by Godzilla stomping around and using that once per game. And so, or make your board look threatening, get past the once per game, and then rebuild, but it just drags the game that much further. And we've seen how much of an impact Godzilla can have on such little foundations.
Yeah, and I think this is actually a great play here for Kevin. I think Kevin understands how he's going to win this matchup, which is you're not going to just slam one Phantom Threat and pray that you get to a giant board state and go for one punch to win. We have to play these incremental pokes here, like the Sweeping Daggers, copying impactful moves that if you block it from the unfazed, we gain that text when we copy it with the Sweeping Daggers, and forcing out the moment of normalcy because we used one Midoriya form of turning 2 cards sideways, getting ourselves a momentum, and because we gave ourselves a momentum, we actually get to echo this Sweeping Daggers and copying a different move. We copied the Heat Ray from our opponent's discard pile. Now that the moment of normalcy is gone and used, this is going to get even more stats based off of difficulty attacks in Kevin's discard pile. Normally you see it on the other side of the foot. So very cool, fun way of using the Sweeping Daggers here. Not just picking the unfazed for the block trick, but also because it has Echo.
I'm going to ask a hard question for you, Barrett. Sweeping Dagger says, remove 1, gain all, this attack gains all ability keywords printed on that card.
Yep.
We gave it the Echo. We echoed it. We played the card again. Does it still have the response for +2 to your check? Because it's a different attack now that we've echoed it, yes? Because the Echo says you can play the card again, not that you play the attack again.
Correct, and attacks refresh when you go to play them. So any of the gained abilities that happen for Sweeping Daggers, any echoed copy of it no longer has that text because our attacks refresh their game state or rules text-wise when you go to play them again. So no, it would not have the response on play, just like how the echoed copy of Sweeping Daggers doesn't even have echo on it again. It loses the
Interesting.
keyword, but the effect of what Echo says after it resolves says it will still have to flip face down. So we got a 2-for-1 there on the side of Kevin from one Midoriya form, and we got to deal some damage and then getting blocked through afterwards. So putting down to 30, and now it's up to Daniel choosing to build even more here. History's greatest monster, Deadlock Threat, might matter. Fearsome Transformation, and maybe some more.
Importantly here, checking one of our very precious CD Rampages. We see one in hand, but the more CD Rampages we have, the more back-to-back-to-back turns that we can find some pretty crazy offensive lines. Continue to check attacks all the way through. We want those in our hands, as Daniel, again, we said if we give Kevin a turn off, it could be just what he needs to capitalize to squeak back a win.
And Godzilla's stage being one of the largest Godzilla stages we've seen this entire tournament against the deck that probably wants a bigger stage than the Godzilla. But 30 life is still a lot to get through, and I just don't think we have enough foundations quite yet for a Phantom Threat to still get in that kind of one-shot range at 30. So we're still going to have to play a little bit of like value, like how many forms do we press before we play an attack? If we do we lose access potentially of like getting runaway? Like it has to be a fear of like, obviously Kevin knows the main board a lot better of what Daniel's doing. And if you know that they're not main boarding any copies of Runaway, this is the game where you're allowed to get away with a giant Phantom Thread that isn't necessarily lethal on the go. And you don't have to have the combo protectors just quite yet, like Tattered Costume, because you know you don't have to run into that answers piece. So it looks like we're just doing the one form, and we didn't even take the ready off of the Defiant stance either.
Did we? We did, and we checked a 4, then committed the Defiant stance.
Okay. Well, there we go.
It is. Yeah, I think this just runs face first into Moment of Normalcy if we care about the cards in our hand at all, right? Like we put this thing back to either printed speed or damage if we're gonna block or whatnot, because we're just like, this is lazy. I think is a little too harsh, but it is certainly a interaction.
I think it's just not even like, yeah, I think we're seeing exactly what I think is probably the best response, which is just raw block it. Our stage was huge. We didn't commit anything because we just did a build turn, and our build turn expanded our stage. You still get to keep the Moment of Normalcy up. It's just a build 2 afterwards on the side of Kevin, getting no extra traction there aside from making our stage bigger. But if Daniel decides to either win the game because their stage, this Godzilla is going to be able to play anything that they find, or do you not find enough pieces just quite yet, and you might have to do a board reset because Deku's stage is getting a little too scary now for upcoming thing. And here it is. We are going to press the once per game, can't be canceled, discard 4 cards, reset our stages. No thank you. Get rid of those. We have 2 cards that we're allowed to play. Pass your walls, good one. How about a second one? Because there are high impact assets in Kevin's list.
Yeah, a big thing of note here is Daniel has lost an additional City Rampage. So build 2 with 0 momentum says that this turn is probably not going to be a high impact turn as well, which says the rebuild from Kevin makes a ton of sense. How much can I push? Daniel essentially saying, hey, I build 2, you can have the agency when it comes to how much is on the board. I am nervous about letting Kevin now get to run away because the threat of the board wipe is just gone now. Now it is Kevin's allowed to build to his heart's content to find that 30, and we know that Midoriya can do it pretty easily.
Yeah, I think the matching the build 4 here matters. I think what you're not allowed to do for Daniel, and as we saw there, is just lazily throw a poke that you could potentially check a 3 on, because the biggest, best defensive piece that Midoriya has access to aren't any of the foundations that they built. It's that commit response on play of the character ability, set its speed to very low, or to 1 or whatever, and draw a card as well. So not even having to use necessarily any attacks we might be holding on our hand, but Daniel building 4. I think that's a strong play to do here. Reposturing another strong stage that is currently bigger than Kevin's. And again, the Midoriya deck must build foundations to function at a higher capacity. We only have 4 foundations right now. We don't really think we're going to be slamming a lot of offense.
Yeah, the No
They're gonna press
offense,
it though.
lack of offense from Kevin makes sense here. But sweeping daggers, if there was a poke to sling, it would be it. I do want to go back to Daniel's board. His board is really, really potent. The 4 foundations that we built were really high impact. Things like Finally Free,
Yeah.
things like Horrifying Realization, Swallowed by the Abnormal, everything that we're wanting to do.
Wow.
But stealing Chimera Kraken, the best attack in the game, and saying Finally Free, more like go back to sleep.
And
Turn
you
it
can't
sideways,
even snap.
freeze it.
You can't even snap use the Finally Free defensively as an enhance, because that blitz timing of the sweeping daggers says I'm going to copy this ability, the commit and freeze, and then we're also the first enhance going to be commit and freeze that thing down. We did try to give ourselves an extra burn, but we can't do that because we already pressed our first enhance. We have bypassed that blitz phase, so making sure we put that back into our discard pile, and we're going to take it straight to the dome.
Makes sense.
And then
down to 23. The goalpost keeps getting closer and closer and closer to finding one high impact Midoriya attack. Scary.
Yeah, getting a momentum, which we saw be very impactful for Kevin when we copied an echoed move. That was really nice. And then building ourselves a heroic passion, which will extend our hand size for the rest of this game when we go and start pressing our Midoriya forms. But if there's going to be another opportunity here where Daniel attempts to help get closer and closer to winning this game, if not closing it out, here's a prime opportunity, even though you lost access to that Finally Free that was committed. But we play things like Titan Cliff. We can get another readied one in our stage in multiple different ways in this deck by using cards like that.
Yeah, from here, I think what we're trying to figure out is how impactful is my Horrifying Realization. Is committing the one, potentially committing the one foundation here the thing that's going to push me over the edge, or should I save it for maybe a later turn? Looks like the answer is yes. I want to utilize it. Form flip, we're both going to discard a card and redraw a card. If you discard a foundation, you'll commit one. I'm trying to draw more gas. I'm trying to get you to get rid of foundations, or even better, block trips like that Airy Smile out of the hand. We valued our stage rather than the potency on block abilities.
Absolutely. Horrifying gonna hopefully give us an opportunity here. I think it's gonna be really hard to figure out as Daniel which attack I can play to try and bait out this flash response from the character card. But it's just so hard because almost all of these attacks you want to get to the enhanced step for that Godzilla is playing, and Kevin is the one that has the onus to make the decision of nope, this one we're not going to the enhanced step at all.
Yeah. Or if I play something that's not threatening enough to enter that enhanced step, I've lost the ability. Things like this Heat Ray. Yeah, it's very fast, but if I have a clean answer to it without using the Midoriya speed reset, then I'm just down to enter. I'm down to let it go, and I'll save that flash again. And Daniel did not successfully bait out the responsibility.
Yeah, 7 low 9 is a lot easier to block if you set the 7 speed move all the way down, so I can block it and give it flash. But this is also one that if you do flash and you don't have the right block zone, you might end up losing some extra foundations on your stage. So we need to make sure that we can block this, but we have an infinite potential, and we didn't play the response on play for it. Kind of posturing that we do have the low block for this instead of needing to make it a high.
Yeah, and with cards like Elegance and Beauty, which I'll pull up here, of Enhanced Commit, this deck gets a -2 speed, followed by Aaron's Sidestep for Enhanced Flip, this deck gets -2 speed. This one, very easily to deal with, and all this is doing is getting way more damage. And again, we don't care about damage, we care about speed. The 7 goes down to 5, the 5 goes down to 3, and lets us redraw a card off of that Sidestep. So our goal here is hold that low block, and then now say, hey, plus the breaker, as we have a violent animus shot coming in. One low block, breaker, one, making the turn even that much harder. Opts not to utilize the pass-through walls, unless the breaker wasn't called, question mark?
Yeah, I can only imagine that it was. It looks like it wasn't, because this was on a 6 and we raw checked a 6 and we didn't tap a foundation, right? That face down was already committed. And I think it's because, yeah, I mean, we just didn't need it. And the Aries Smile block here, again, another prime use of these 4x copies of Aries Smile, which is very good against these Godzilla-type decks. And we're going into the cycle already
Whoa.
for Daniel. We went through so many turns, we played so many foundations, we blew them all up. Got to get to the next cycle of our deck to figure out what's going on and what we're going to have access to, because another great defense here from Kevin, losing 0 life. I don't even know if we're going to play another attack here.
It is. I blinked and we are already through a sixth of the game. Getting rid of these 10 cards, not to mention all of the removal that our sweeping daggers have done. Hey, you're not allowed to talk about mill outs until the second cycle, but there is certainly something about the limiting of options that Kevin is doing to Daniel's deck. One of the ways that you can stop this offensive ability is you start removing the options. We know we don't have a Kraken, we don't have a Heat Wave. We don't have a Unfazed for this second cycle. Those aren't in the discard pile anymore. They're not going to be back in the deck. But it looks like failing a block here, taking the 5, dropping all the way down to 12, or not 5, sorry, 8, dropping down to 12.
I think we maybe even slam this next attack. This Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken, if it checking another 6, actually a 7 on it. My goodness, tapping our entire stage down except for our Guardian of Chinatown in case we have some crazy DR. But this is an attack that says we can commit and freeze the Heroic Passion, which might be very important on whether or not Kevin finds even more attacks to potentially close this game out. And we're going to hopefully cash in even more damage to get Midoriya to single-digit health.
We're taking a read here. Very specifically, Heroic Passion says responds after this card is committed due to a stun ability or to pay for the cost of a card, you redraw a card. So even this Kraken saying commit and freeze, you don't get to have that draw. This card was not stunned. It was committed.
4 high for 9, taking it to the chin, stabilizing at 3 life as we pass back. Daniel gonna cash in on some much needed momentum here, of course. We should be building that foundation because we did play it. So, just moving. Oh, there it is.
Hey,
yeah, there we go.
Shout outs to the judges, keeping track.
Absolutely. Can't do this event without them and their hard work. Passing back to Kevin, keeping that Heroic Passion tapped. One less foundation to function, which goes a long way against a Midoriya deck. Can you find 23? There's still a card in Daniel's hand. How much can you do? Is it enough? Do we have to find a way to survive on 3 life? And all of a sudden, I thought Kevin really took the reins of having strong defense once again, but a couple of good checks, a couple more abilities that give plus to our checks to play attack cards from Daniel, and we knocked Midoriya down to 3.
Love it. Absolutely love it. If I am in Kevin's position, I mean, the question is do we have to go for it right now? Can I survive at 3? Maybe is there a world where I unflip and now all of Godzilla's moves now have minus stats? These are all questions running through Kevin's head of what is the best course of action, and it looks like building up that energy. Fa Jin Flurry, 0 mid for 7, but every time that we grab a speed, we get an extra momentum, which says if there happens to be a really high impact Phantom Thread afterwards, this powerful might be the thing that is going to save us.
Yeah, we loaded 2 Midoriya forms into this, so it's going to come in with +6/+6 every time it receives the bonus of the 3 speed. We got to snap 2 momentum from the top of our deck due to the Fajin Flurry response. Spend 1 more of those momentums for an EX, knocking Daniel down to 10. This is going to be a very scary check to make here if we try and play another attack, but this is close enough for Kevin's deck to find a way to get to lethal, but we only have 2 ready foundations on our stage. Do you turn them sideways for a form, or do you just raw dog an attack and use them to help pass the check?
Our deck
only if it can find enough damage.
Our deck's incredibly thin. We're counting attacks right now. What is the risk reward of this? What is the percentage that I'm going to check a 3 here? Because having that +3/+3 is going to be so impactful here. But if we can't risk it, it's a potential, even with this powerful, this Phantom Thread is blockable.
It is. You would say that though, Tam, but if we pressed our form button once, went to play our attack on a 6, and we just need to check a 5 and turn Midoriya sideways to pass it, we have 2 momentum. That represents powerful 2 twice, and because we gave it another damage buff, not just from the one form.
He's going
You'll
for
get
it.
to play the response, which gives it a speed. This Phantom Threat's on a 6.
He checks the 5,
We
commits
check the
Midoriya.
5. Comes in with the
Yes!
3-3, which allows you to use the response once to give it a bonus speed. Presses powerful twice for 2 or 4 more damage, giving it another speed, representing lethal damage, and at 2 fast to block. You have to have a hand trap here, right here, Daniel.
He says,
Game 1 goes to Kevin T, getting the win back for his
Wow.
younger brother.
wow, huge heads up play. He saw that he had the opportunity, smelt blood in the water, and absolutely went for it. Did the quick math. Hey, what is the chances I'm going to check a 3? I've got 1 or 2 left in my deck. I've got 9 cards still. Yeah, I think that it is worth it to guarantee this victory, just to push it through. Amazing heads up play for Kevin here on Izuku Midoriya on the move. Barrett.
Broke serve, Tam. No, sorry, we did go first.
We did go
We
first.
did go first. Sorry.
But
Wow.
going into the board, I think it's going to be a different story. There's some pretty high impact cards over here on Daniel's side. What cards do you think would be the most impactful to fight this Midoriya on the move?
It's the actions, of course. I think, Runaways plus Filled with Doubts represent hand trap answers to actually deal with things like the Phantom Threats to get you to the enhanced step. Phantom Threat, I think, being a much stronger one because you don't care if it has flash or it doesn't. You just get to say, hey, that Phantom Threat's actually for 5. But, Tam, as we've already seen, we are staring across cards like Guardian of Chinatown. Tattered Costume didn't get built to that game, but we do play them. And, of course, even in Kevin's sideboard, there are also answers to those sort of answers. But it's got to be the action cards that we have access to here on the side for Daniel. And I maybe even wonder if things like Gently Theft will help us. Maybe we side in some extra aggression, higher base damage attacks, and hand disruption, so you can't be sculpting those Phantom Threats as well.
Yeah, looking over on Kevin's side, since we have open deck lists are a big deal, we do have access to things like stopping for breakfast. After you play an action, we can cancel it. But besides that, maybe the cape gets to come in and say, hey, you need to find 1 more additional attack to try and kill me. I'm sure Kevin would have felt way better having not gone down to 3 on that last turn if we could have caped something high impact earlier, stayed at double digits, and tried to survive that way. But it is going to be... Go ahead.
Every little bit of damage mattered in that game. Both of those players got down to 3 or got down to 10. That Phantom Threat was just barely lethal after we took the risk and played the form. Every little bit mattered. So you're right. I think any extra form of defense for either of these players will go a long way. And depending who finds their answers and cards they sideboarded in, maybe we'll take the win for game 2. I'm hoping it's Daniel, just because I want the most UniVersus we can get. But they are shuffling up. Sideboarding is done. Daniel Osa is going to be on the play here, having now lost game 1. But it's still anybody's match.
It totally is. And I realize that I'm not caught up to the present, so I can just jump
We can do a little
there.
skip-a-roo. Do some mulliganing.
Yeah, we can get through it a little bit.
We'll remember for if we go to game 3.
I gotta get Mochi to bed. That's what I care about.
That's true. She went somewhere else. The sun's up. She's probably sunbathing now.
From here, out the gate, opening strong,
Love
saying
it.
these asset answers to my answers are significantly less impactful, but a build 3, not what we want to see from Zilla. A build 4 would have felt way cleaner to try and have this turn 2 aggression that we want so desperately as Godzilla.
Yeah, but I think you nailed it right on the head, right? I think that pass through walls is already one key for another key that we have in our hand that I kind of saw. It's you have an answer to a very high statted move. You have to protect it, though, in case something like a Tattered Costume comes down. But, oh my gosh, talk about a dream setup for the beginning of the game. Triple Defiant Stance, double Desperate Plea, and a bonus 0 diff foundation to boat. A build 6 right off the bat, and just barely keeps the foundation total count to 9, meaning you can't reset right now even if you wanted to, Daniel. You have to stare at this incredible defensive wall, but there is only 1 card in hand. Maybe you can take advantage of a City Rampage. No, wait, Wait, we can't play it. He said, no, wait, you're not at 10.
He said, no thank you. This actually might be a blessing in disguise. Looking at Daniel's hand here, there are 2 copies of short-lived promotion that say if the game plan is to blow up the board instead of being a measly 6-hander that discards 4 cards, let's pump those numbers up. Let's be a 7-hander. Let's be an 8-hander. Instead of build 2, let's build 4 back. I'm at 4. You're at 0. Those defiant stances that we so cared about so desperately are just going to be gone. I think from here, I build 2 pass and then just be like, these are foundation options. There's no reason for me not to play them. I think the actual question here is, do we play this phantom or this attack
just to throw it away?
We check check
5, 6, 7. It's tap 1 for it.
I'm in.
Flash check.
Hey, what's the zone that you have? It's a 4 mid for 11. Potentially hits and grabs us some momentum. I don't care that you're going to build this foundation. I'm about to blow them up anyways.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the biggest key here and what I want to talk about, yes, this is only going to be a partial. We are going to cash in at least 6 damage here. A bonus foundation on the block with the Desperate Plea. Going for a 7 build for Kevin T's basically first turn, which is about the biggest dream you can get. And it's not about that the board's going to eventually get blown up. Absolutely, Tam. But Kevin T gets at least 1 turn of aggression here to turn our character over, keep our stage healthy, to still threaten the board wipe, and I'm still allowed to turn some of these sideways and get a real massive poke in right here.
Yeah, big one coming in, and a flash of our own quick draw arrow. 5 mid for 5 that just got an extra 6/6. Hey, you thought your 11 damage throw was flash attack was good? I got one of my own. Mine's a little bit quicker. Probably not going to be blocking this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the problem. Because it has flash, there's no enhanced step. We can't even attempt to make our check to block this +2. And ready? We're staring across that Guardian Angel of Chinatown, which means the runaway that is in our hand isn't going to help us.
Yeah, all tied up. Fun to fun. Well, hold on. Does Guardian...
Does it not reduce?
I don't think it reduces. It says that you...
Oh, does it set it? Does it say return?
It says that you just pay and then it deals no damage. Before that, you pay this and then it deals
you're
no
right.
damage,
You're right.
and then you add the top. Yeah.
You are correct. No, it doesn't work.
Small ships passing in the night. It's A-okay.
But then the question then to me then is still like, why didn't we press it then? We could have saved ourselves quite a bit of damage. Or is it about holding it onto it for as long as possible and using it when you think Kevin has game, and they commit even more of the resources to take a huge backswing, which Godzilla thrives at doing, right? And speaking of thrives at doing, we're deciding not to reset the stage anymore, Tam. You can have your defiant stances. I think I can gotcha here with a runaway, but instead here is my Vast Hyper Chimera Kraken that's going to get flashed and immediately blocked with an Airy Smiles. Great defense once again from Kevin. Hey, you got to play a non-attack card as your next form. And I know you got a bunch of cards in your hand because we did the double short-lived promotion, but here comes a Smashing Stomp on a 5/6/7, checks a 5, got to tap 2 of our cards sideways for 6/7, can't flash this one. I'm going to get at least +1 to my next check. We do have a momentum, and this is for 9.
Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in. Interesting that we didn't build down this Aries Smile with that last Desperate Plea. Might be waiting for something a little more impactful to build in face up, potentially. Maybe just like looking at the play patterns that Daniel is posturing. But +3 now to our check here on it, threatening on hit, draw a card, and there it is. Let's have a enhanced commit minus stats. I think this game is about to get out of hand, all because.
And it's very similar to what we saw in the other game. We went for that last little big reach attack, impactful. It would have done a ton of damage, but we checked a 3. It was a 6, but the attack was on a 9, and we only had 2 ready resources. That only adds up to 8. We have to fail that last attack, and we pass it back to Kevin T, who only has to deal 23 damage now. And when you have triple Defiant Stance, your stage breadth is much larger when trying to stack on these forms. But it looks like we didn't draw the gas, didn't draw that Phantom Threat, so we're going to build even more impactful foundations into our stage. And now there's a prime opportunity here for Daniel to reset the board.
Yeah, but we missed that golden opportunity of short-lived promotion to draw the cards and do a massive build. And we saw last game the self-destruct only gets us so far, I think. Godzilla's game plan here is normally blow up the board and then reset, but like we saw how impactful it was. We put Kevin all the way down to 3 health with just like a really solid attack. Maybe it's just, hold our head down and just march forward depending on how aggressive our hand is.
Yeah, I think it just depends. I think if there was a world where we could bait out the flash, play something like a Titan Cliff, build in a finally free, get a momentum, I can spot the Gently Theft in our hand, the second one that we cited in, and having another way of kind of getting in some cheeky damage here. But I think it's just so hard because, again, whatever that first attack you play for the turn is, Kevin just gets to make the decision, do we not even want to go to the enhanced step? I don't want to let you play these high impact moves against me, but we're going to press the board wipe button once per game, discard 4 cards. We're going to blow up all of our foundations, and that means Daniel's going to attempt to build the last 2 cards in our hand, a Self-Doubt and an Inspiring Song, passing it back to Kevin.
2 1 difficulty foundations that become extra resources, and we found the Defiant Stance one more time. We'll bring it up on the screen here. After this card is committed to a cost, i.e. Midoriya's, commit to for +3/+3. You get to re-ready it, essentially becoming 2 extra cards, but that's the same thing we have over on Daniel's side, right? We've got these 1 diffs that flip for pluses to our check, and a big healthy build here. I think that you play everything. I think you go for it on the 5, and then you check it. We need a big stage to push back.
Yeah, when you do the board reset, you build your 2 that you're guaranteed to have as the Godzilla deck, basically, and Kevin only builds 3 in their 6-hander, and you draw into 5 more foundations for you to build. You slam all 5 of them. I just think there's no way Kevin's deck can deal the rest of this 23 damage off of 3 foundations, and as we pass back and build only 2 more, you now have such a healthy stage against very minimal defense, still impactful defense, but minimal quantity-wise that Kevin has. This is a real opportunity for Daniel to win here, and we finally found one of those grease cards that we really need for this deck to work, the City Rampage, and there's not an onboard answered here from Kevin, so it looks like this one's going to get away scot-free. +2 to our checks to play what our deck does best, 5 difficulty or higher moves.
Do you have a City Rampage emote? I don't. I should have one.
Unfazed here on a 6/7, checking a 7, and the question here is, even if you flash this one, we're going to have a cool block trick if you want to block this 11 damage move, but you choose not to. Now I get a momentum. Now you got to deal with this guy twice if we want to echo it.
Yeah, feeling definitely a rock and a hard place with Unfazed as
Arid Sidestep, -2 if completely blocked. Jewel draw a card. We still have a Self-Doubt as well, which is even more check grease on blocks. And we're going to start pressing some Inspiring Song buttons. Mill 3. Going to give our check +1 as well. That's just some extra insurance in case this Unfazed doesn't get blocked. We need to play this 6 difficulty attack again. Ooh, but the Ares Smile, incredibly strong, not only against the string deck like Godzilla, but it's incredibly good TAM against Echo attacks.
Yeah, Echo, spin a momentum, get to replay this attack card, but Ares Smile saying, I'm enjoying this concert so much, I'd like for you to slow down, play a grade 1, and then you can swing, which means that you've missed your timing window to play it.
I like this interaction. No, Tam, this does work. It says, Ares Smile says your rival must play a non-attack card as their next form of pass. You're not allowed to press the horrifying realization button. You must fulfill the conditions of the Ares Smile, which is playing a non-attack card as your next form, or your turn is over. But that doesn't mean, so you lose the check grease, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna lose just the Inspiring Song one. We will still have the Unfazed stuff, and now you're allowed to weave in these horrifying realizations if you're looking for more moves. Getting a Goblin Bolt out of the hand of Kevin here.
High impact card. Card says, while it's in the card pool, you can flip it to cancel an enhance ability. Very strong versus Godzilla himself, but we are checking 6s as we slam more attacks with Smashing Stomp coming to join the party here. 5 low for 10. gives even more to that pluses to our check if we enter the
And we're
hand
getting
step, which
flashed.
we're saying no thank you to.
Getting flashed here, and then also looks like we've got another block, and it is the incredible low block here, not just from the Violet Enemy Shop, but sports a breaker on it. But this self-doubt here, timing-wise, is a response so that we're able to basically cancel that breaker by giving ourselves another plus to the check. So this is going to be another attack here with a very healthy ready stage on Daniel's side, that nullifying that breaker, and we still have some pretty good grease, right?
The real question is, how much more do we possibly have? It might even be play an attack, and we start ripping horrifyings off the top. But Titan Cliff coming in, man, is this game going to be determined off of the +1 of the check of self-doubt? The only, I'm sure, registered copy of this card in the entire tournament, and this game in the finals is going to be decided by this +1 of the check.
It might, but I think the point is that Daniel got exactly what he needed to have the offensive turn that he wanted. We had to get the flash response out of the options that Kevin had for us to play this Titan Cliff. And even if we didn't use that self-doubt or we didn't have it, Tam, this now getting to the enhanced step for this Titan Cliff was the key. We are now to build another foundation that checks a 6 that can help us get more momentum from things like Finally Free. But as we look at our giant discard pile, it looks like we're going to be grabbing an Inspiring Song instead. And there's only one card left in Daniel's hand. If we don't do the review thing, it just shows me that this is going to be a very high impact attack. But another strong defensive piece from Kevin. I already forgot the name. I have to pull it up.
The cycle. -1 speed for each card in both of our card pools. Yes, this very fast 6 speed move with the flick of a card goes to -1 high, the easiest block of all time. Still playing 23 all, you have to figure it out, and Heat Ray is the one to do it. 8 low for 7, 8 low for 10 coming in by its lonesome. And
oh my gosh,
what do we have? One card left in our deck? Literally our entire everything is available to us. Is this gonna hit 13 damage? There's no way, right?
It's not gonna hit necessarily the most amount of damage, Tam, but we've now gone down to 0's cards left in our left in our hand, but we have 2 copies of Horrifying Realization. That says get another chance of trying to play more attacks after this Heat Ray, and Tam, we are still gonna have potentially +3, or if we so choose, +5 to our next check. This may look like the last card for the turn because we're a 6-hander and played 6 cards in our card pool, but we might actually be playing more after this Heat Ray. Can you block this one, Kevin? This is a lot of damage, and it might not even be the end of the turn.
That is crazy, Barrett. There's so much riding off of. Daniel decided to bring a chaos deck. Let's respond, flip these 2 last pieces, and let's leave it in the hands of the chaos symbol. Horrifying Realization activated. You know what? We should both discard a card and redraw a card. What's the last card in our deck? It was an attack card. I think it was a Smashing Stomp.
It was. He knew this. Daniel knew this. He went to so many cards left few down in deck. He did some math. We did some looking in this card pile, Tam, when we went and pressed the Titan Cliff Enhance. We took a little bit of extra time. We were trying to figure out what those last few cards in our deck was, and if we checked that 6 check that was still in our deck for this Heat Ray, which we did, that means the last card for this Horrifying Realization form is guaranteed to be an attack. Not only an attack, Tam, but it's an attack with EX on it. And the EX, when we have a momentum, this is going to have +3 to our check to play this after we do our cycle. It's going to be on a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Even
3,
checking a
4, 5,
3.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You pass it and still keep Godzilla.
And get the EX. Oh my goodness. This is, we are representing check. Kevin, you got to figure it out, man. You're at 3 health, and I drew the Smashing Stomp. We at home know. We're doing the math. We're calculating what could it possibly be. It's Genkaiser Bust, I believe. Do you have the answer? Smashing Stomp and...
I did the math for the 3 check, and we checked a 6 anyway, Tam. +3 from our total check freeze. For the 9, we still would have had the Horrifying Realization ready. We could have maybe drawn another card and played it as well. Game 2, incredible offensive line. After this back and forth, the battle of our stages, Daniel gets the game 2 win. We're going to game 3. We're getting our maximum amount of games in our finals, and I'm so excited to see it happen.
Chat, are you loving it? Two very distinct players, very distinct decks, battling it out to see who's going to be the winner of the first Spain regional ever in the history of the game. Daniel Osa on Godzilla King of the Monsters versus Kevin T on Izuku Midoriya on the moon.
Kevin Gomez.
Yes. Man.
And we get to go first again as Midoriya, which I think was really impactful from what we learned in Game 1. I can only imagine it's going to be a similar story here in Game 2, but now the players have access, their sideboards are in. This is Game 1 all over again, but now the decks have changed. The decks are slightly different. Daniel has some better defense necessarily, which matters because Kevin is going to be the aggressor, being the person who goes first.
Yeah, not sure there's much else to bring in either player's direction.
Sorry, I had to keep talking.
Excuse me, sorry.
Oh my goodness.
I had to crack another Dr. Pepper. It's getting too crazy in here.
Yeah, this guy needs a good good throat check for sure. I'm so excited for this, Tam. I think this is the real battle for all of its marbles. Again, storyline for everybody at home. Kevin Gomez here, clawing his way through the bottom side of the bracket where his brother, his younger brother, the youngest UniVersus player we've ever had in a top cut at the age of 9, got defeated by Daniel Osa here in the top 4. Kevin is trying to bring the revenge of his brother, his younger brother, who did an amazing performance, and Kevin, not very much older than him, another young and up-and-coming UniVersus player, having to go against a family friend, someone that they would call even a non-related uncle of their own, Daniel Osa, who is looking to take down this entire event and prove that Godzilla is the king of the monsters. But the number 1 protagonist of MyHeroAcademia, Midoriya, has things to say about it. And so here's our Game 3, kicking things off with great block trick cards and a build 5 going first for the Midoriya deck.
Massive build 5 into double desperate please, saying after you block with a card, rebuild it back down, saying lazy pokes that Godzilla wants to do just to generate some momentum are kind of out of the question. We're going to get even more saying that Kevin's going to be able to transform even easier, represent more stats even easier. I'm not even sure that Daniel's going to be allowed to attack until we find the self-destruct. But with failing that last card, we have not hit the threshold. If, for some reason, Kevin decides to play a couple attack cards and not build, we have a potential to not see a self-destruct on the next turn, and we keep a stage healthy to get further into this game.
And I think that's the biggest key here. Flipping over, at least for the aggression turn that Kevin needs to put up, at least to win the game like we saw in Game 1. Turning over, getting a freebie opportunity because of how well you built your stage to turn into Quirks Unleashed, followed up by another build 4, basically telling Daniel, hey man, you probably should reset the board because my stage is so good and I'm on the backside now. I have the flash for defense and I can start giving my moves 3-3. Oh, when I so choose. You're in a rock and a hard place. Is it time to reset the board already?
And that's if Daniel's hand even lets him. Like, imagine we don't have enough, we have too much gas to even find the rebuild, or the foundations that we have are just better than anticipated. A build 4 answered back potentially could be what we're seeing here from Godzilla. How much offense can Midoriya on the move get? It looks like build 3 is going to be the answer as we let Midoriya draw up without a review, I will add.
Yeah, that usually tells me that we probably have a Phantom Threat in our hand, or we have some sort of poke that we're going to be playing off here. I think the other important to note is that I think Daniel Osa is kind of tailored well and waiting for Kevin to play the first attack of the game, because defensively, if we can snag this momentum from our finally free, you feel a lot better about resetting the board state. Now will we have the short-lived promotion to give us +1 hand size that we've already talked about before in this match, and then also you'll have a momentum, hopefully trying to go in and maybe squeak out a very strong aggressive turn only on 3 foundations.
Yeah, I do think that there is a world, though. I mean, we're gambling, right? Card games are all about
Yeah.
luck and logic. When it comes to the luck of this, if that poke that we play happens to be a sweeping daggers, stealing that Kraken out of my rivals and there's a sweeping right on top of the deck or discard pile. Stealing that Kraken, committing it, turning it sideways might have been a mistake. But build 2 pass from Midoriya, sending it back to Godzilla's side. Let's become that 7-hander that we were meant to be with the short-lived promotion and see what is the direction. Is it a destruction, rebuild 3, or do we push the advantage? And it looks like we're going in horrifying
We passed
realization.
up our yeah, as you were getting to it, we passed up our first form timing now. The horrifying realization says we are going to play not our form. We are going to play either larger stage or we're going to kick things off with City Rampage. But our opponent, Kevin, he knows stopping for breakfast coming in. We even had more. We had some of these in our sideboard as well. But stopping for breakfast says, hey, you played an action. I don't care what the timing is on it. I'm going to cancel it. It still stays in the card pool, but you do not get +2 to your check. And he goes, fine, I'll take the 1/1, unfazed on a 7, checks an actual 3 here, having to commit 4 of our cards, one of which going to be the History's Greatest Monster to give us at least 1 card back. But great canceled City Rampage, followed by a misfortunate check here for Daniel.
Everything Kevin wants on the board, hedging your bets, saying, I know, Daniel, how your deck operates, and I'm going to put the pain points on exactly where and when I need to have it happen. I can't imagine there's too much more aggression coming, but it's Godzilla with a active finally free. We're gonna see we're gonna see how much juice we can squeeze from it with Kevin still holding on to that Quirks Unleashed flash 0 speed, draw a card. There's a lot of defensive capabilities that Midoriya on the move or Quirks Unleashed has access to.
As I kind of get to see a little bit more of Kevin's hand, if we also had an Airy Smile here for this block after you got the momentum for this Echo attack, I think I would have been furious as Daniel, having not chosen to reset the board state after getting very answered that turn. But getting the block of the Phantom Threat out of Kevin's hand, I think, is a very meaningful exchange of resources here. We're going to get the extra plus to our cards to play, and the question now is, do we play the Echo? He's going for it. This is going to be on a 6/7 +1 to our check. Checks a 7. Checks the 3 on the first one with cancellation, but the second one's going to look at least a little bit better. And the real question is, it is still going to be for 11 damage, Tam. Even if you flash and set the speed down, I'm going to get another response trigger from the unfazed. Or do you want to take any amount of this 11 damage to the face?
And this is really telling. Talk about, the fact that we're in person. We're playing tactile cards. We don't have a better block than Phantom Threat. So obviously the Echo is going to be the right move, because what other card are you going to block with? A last case scenario, your last ditch effort is going to be blocked with Phantom Threat to save your life. And the fact that we felt so pressured to do it on the first attack of the turn says, yeah, every high attack I can possibly sling for the rest of this turn is absolutely where I want to be.
Yeah, getting a stage check here from Daniel. I think based off of what had happened in this exchange of the City Rampage getting canceled, playing 2 unfades, getting some real damage, and putting Kevin down to 18. Now that we blocked the first one, and Daniel having +1 to his checks to play all of his cards for the turn, we might be making a decision here of, is it worth to continue attacking based off of all the resources that my opponent has access to defensively? This is the final game of the entire tournament.
Yeah.
Is this the right choice? We're going to look at our stage, see if this is worth the play. We played it on a 7, and we checked a 4. We're going to have to commit 3 of our cards sideways, only leaving up this 1 pass-through walls, and we're going to flash it. We're going to reduce its speed all the way down to 0, draw a card, and we can get a block here, and we drew a very strong one if there's going to be any sort of extra attacks coming, but it is a partial, so we're going to go down to 13.
Goblin Bolt's a good one, but because of that 3 check ending up netting out to being a 4, and with the City Rampage cancel earlier, I think we're done attacking. I'm not sure how much more we're going to get, and especially not 13.
This is a crazy decision here. I think Daniel is deciding how risky we want to go, because I'm looking at the Titan Cliff in our hand. It's on a 6, 7, 8, 9. If you check to 6, which is
It,
actually a 7. You could
it
pass it,
passes.
build a state card into your stage. You would have to have tapped Godzilla to do that, so you can't play the momentum for the plus to the check. It is just not close enough to getting to that 13, and we weren't going to check a 6 anyway. So I think this was the right call. We're going to get a couple more of these foundations into our stage, and it is still on the onus of Kevin to find 34. And this is a very healthy stage, but it's not those double up cards. There's no Defiant Stances. There's no value Heroic Passions here. This is raw. Every one of these foundations you turn sideways is just going to be for 3/3. And as we did some math, obviously off screen before this match started, Tam, even 5 forms on a Phantom Threat isn't 34.
It's not 34, and we blocked with the Phantom Threat. Was that a panic block that we were so nervous about our entire life total? Or was this the idea that we have a second one in our hand? Time will tell. I didn't get a chance to peek at the hand. It looks like starting with Fajin Flurry, one of the best momentum generators inside of this Midoriya deck, gathering itself +6/+6 and 2 bonus momentum for some Phantom Threats a little bit later. If there was a way to open up and make Daniel's life total get reduced significantly for a Phantom Threat to end the game, this is the way to do it, as it connects, dropping all the way down to 21, a way more manageable life total than the 34 we started the turn at.
Yeah, a lot harder to pull off now as we've turned 4 of our foundations sideways, but absolutely, Tam, generating 2 momentum, actually a 3rd momentum because this one connected. This is another, we need to build a couple more foundations, and we really need to survive right here and right now, and we have some good tools to do so, but the question becomes, again, Daniel, given the ability to not have to deal with this stage. We haven't pushed the button all game, Tam. This is game 3.
I don't think we're going to do it. There are 5 attacks currently in Godzilla's hand. We have a momentum, and I think double Titan Cliff. I think our number one goal at this exact second is, how do I get Midoriya turned sideways?
Yeah. So we're going to kick things off here with the horrifying realization. This is a scary thing, Tam, because we pitched a foundation. If we draw an attack card, Tam, we might actually see the play an attack, flash it, get Aries Smiles, and you must pass your turn because we only have the orange ones in our hand.
At the same time, how many foundations does Midoriya have? 1, 2, 3, 4,
1, 2, 3, 4, 6,
12?
7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Either way, we're at deadlock. This says get rid of 2 cards out of your hand, please. Discard 1, remove 1, and another Aries Smile. This game is going to be... Oh, man.
We pitched it. We didn't have to give this flash. Obviously, using the last card in our hand. Taps 1 sideways. Gonna flip a foundation. Hey, you have to play a non-attack card as your next form or pass.
Your turn, man. He says it's over.
I have to pass.
I cannot think of a more...
If you're Kevin... It's scary knowing, oh, this guy has 5 attacks in his hand. If I do not kill him right now, I might be just dead.
Yeah. I love the thematics of Eri comes in and saves Midoriya from the threat of Godzilla. Like, what is more thematic than that?
Eri's the only reason Midoriya conquered Overhaul in the Undaunted raid. So it's only fitting, of course, that Eri, her bright smile from Midoriya rescuing her, is the reason, returning the favor, like you said, being this protector, just like how Midoriya was the protector for Eri.
Hesitation over on Kevin's side, though, saying that
if there is a line,
it is difficult to see and read, which means we know there's probably 5 more attacks, or at least 5 more non-foundation cards, and we are transforming back into the OG Midoriya on the move. Why do you think this play happened?
I think it's because we looked at our hand. It wasn't it wasn't attacks. We can't press enough forms even to get through this last 21 life, and you know that your opponent has at least 5 attacks in their hand. You got rid of 2 Aries Smiles that turn because of what was played. You'd already played one earlier on this game, or it's in your discard pile, and you don't have the other one in your hand. What matters more right now, Tam, is build a couple paths. Use my character that if you have 5 attacks, I'm gonna have to play 5 blocks.
Makes sense. Makes total sense to me, especially being at the low life total that we are. This is 1.5 uncontested attacks over from Daniel's Godzilla side. But with the threat of a lack of flash being off the table entirely, Godzilla gets to press every button we could possibly want. Luckily enough, on the move defensively, drawing off of Heroic Passion, -3 speed, redraw the card. We now have, I believe, 5 cards in hand of our own. Let's see how much. Do we have a moment 34 to come in? Do we have the Daigo parry? This is the question.
I think the other thing, you brought it up earlier, and I think I kind of glanced over it, but now that I'm really getting into this situation that we've entered ourselves into, we have a history's greatest monster for Daniel, and Midoriya, Kevin, is in deadlock.
Yeah.
This represents the ability to give 2 of your moves throw because of the way that history's greatest monster can just ready itself. But instead, we're going to use it for the check grease here, which means if we want to press that deadlock button that we have the ability to do, we could really chew through this 13 remaining life from Kevin and really put him on the back foot.
Yeah, that is certainly an option, and some incredible pieces to potentially be useful with that on, with things such as Heat Wave, Heat Ray if we have it. He's getting absolutely massive, but wants to be the last attack in our massive string. So keeping our stage nice and healthy to play out this massive 6 difficulty way later makes a ton of sense to me.
These stages got so huge in this game. This is not where I thought we'd end up, with Daniel making the decision to not ever press that reset button in this 3rd game, and his stage is huge. Even though we didn't play a City Rampage, Tam, if depending on how many attacks we have, we are going to play everything we possibly can, try and block check Kevin as much as we can. Even with this impeccable defense, right? We blocked with the Defiant Stance, built it back down. We already used the Heroic Passion. We even canceled one of the Foundation abilities for the Macho's Concealment. We are playing some real back and forth UniVersus here, but I think Daniel putting himself in a great position, I think it might actually come all the way down to the last attack that Daniel plays, and then pressing something like that deadlock button after a single partial block comes through, maybe from Kevin.
Speed of Deadlock Stun 3 coming in here on Heat Ray, helping it decimate this board. But a ton of block tricks still available to us. If we have the low block with a -3 speed coming in from Midoriya on the move, we do have access to Street Hero in our stage. After I block, flip it, pick something back up, or even a crazier idea, and let me double check to make sure that it works, Smoke Screen.
That one's a good one.
Smoke Screen. Add a card from your hand to your card pool face down for -4. And let's go double check Street Hero. It just says add a card from your card pool to your hand. We could -4 a card in, Street Hero, pick it right back up, and then go for that same block. So kind of a 2-card tactic to guarantee that the last thing that's being played is not going to be high impact.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I think it comes down to. And I think this entire turn is about Kevin playing the perfect defense that he can, because I think the only way I think he survives this turn is when something eventually gets throw, we are not allowed to have taken partial damage from any of moves from Daniel, because that will put us down to a low enough life that history's greatest monster will give throw to something like a Heat Ray and we will die. But a Breaker 1 coming in here, but we answer it with a Self-Doubt. Again, this card that we might see only being a single copy registered, or it was the pass-through walls. I couldn't remember which one it was. But the second Heat Ray here on a 6, 7, 8, 9 checks a 5, maybe a 6. Because of what we did for the block stuff, as we used our momentum also from Godzilla. And so here's the second Heat Ray. How many lows did you hold?
How many lows did
Another
you hold?
deadlock,
Indeed.
stun 3, matters a lot. There's the Street Hero. Hey, I got another 1 low block, and it has Breaker as well, and your stage is starting to look a little worse here, Daniel. You're out of momentum.
Out of momentum, probably one more quality move, and there is still even one more crazy trick up Midoriya's sleeve potentially. We haven't seen it the
The
entire
Vestige.
match.
Vestige.
If we are sitting with a vestige in hand before the damage step of this move, commit Midoriya, no longer having access to the minus speed, discard a vestige, reduce its damage to 1. This high, massive damage stomping King of Monsters. These moves could be coming in. The last one for 1, a lot of wiggle room, but that's even if we have that option. Something that, as Daniel, you need to be thinking about over and over and over again every single time, especially as the board gets strained and we are sitting here waiting to see what's the next move. Two cards left in hand, and I think we've only got one more attack, and it's not for 13, but we're gonna sling it anyways.
Hybrid. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Checks a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't pass. We pass it back, and that I think is the key moment, Tam. Kevin Gomez choosing to turn back into Midoriya on the move, really taking advantage of this character that can transform to both sides. 21 damage is what you have to deal against minimal defense, but we draw up for the turn. Do we have it? If we need to get to the backside, it means we're going to have to commit another 3 foundations first before gaining access to the forms. Do we have enough gas in the tank to rebuttal? That was a large amount of attacks from Daniel. You don't think Daniel's going to get another turn like that, but who knows? It depends on what Kevin does here. Do we have enough to reciprocate 21 life?
There's certainly some options. We did get to build in double Defiant stance on blocking on that turn. So our stage is grown by an extra 4 foundations when it comes to doing it. And we have a fleet of face down cards all begging to be turned sideways to increase this damage. I am smelling blood in the water outside of some cool action trick that maybe Kevin is trying to sniff out. Does he have the runaway? Does he have the filtered out? We are digging into our sideboard, doing some counting. Maybe we need more dice. Maybe we're gonna sling them so big. We need more dice.
I think it just depends if we have an attack, and I just don't know if I saw it or one, because I think if you're Kevin, I think we are for sure, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, checking everything. Is this actually 21? Have I played around all of these options that Daniel could have access to? Do we have an attack that can do it? Do we need to turn into quirks? Heroic plus double Defiant to flip back over into Quirks Unleashed, draws a card off the top. I mean, I see a Sweeping Daggers. Depending on what we pick and copy, it could easily get there with however many forms we can press. So I've got 1. I see 2, 3 forms getting used.
This Sweeping Daggers could steal a Titan Cliff. If I don't have it before, discard 3, redraw 3, potentially go find it. Or I will take and do all of it. Whoa, that's a good one too. That's a good one too. Gently Theft is pretty rad. Discard that last card in your hand. You just have to literally count. Hey, as soon as I get to it, I had the momentum to spend.
6.
That's 6 is enough.
6 for the base 4 damage. 6 times 3, 18 is the 20. There's the handshake. We play it on a 4. We see the Phantom, or we see the Gently Theft. That means your hand tricks, if it's a runaway, doesn't work. Game 3 and the match and the tournament, the whole dang regional. Kevin Gomez avenging his brother wins the entire thing with Izuku Midoriya on the move on the air symbol. And he's so happy. I'm so happy for you, Kevin. That was incredible. And of course, as we already know, because we were talking with Daniel, I know Daniel, although he didn't get the win here, it cannot be more proud of someone like Kevin, who is a family friend already, and both of these players doing an immaculate job here in the finals.
What an incredible weekend, Barrett. I had a blast. So many fun games of UniVersus being played. It was so sick. Incredibly happy. Big shout outs to you, buddy. Thank you. Big shout outs to UVS Games for hosting these regionals. And most importantly, big shout outs to you, everybody at home, for watching over here on twitch.tv/TamCardwell. I do greatly appreciate it. It's very cool. Very cool of you. Barrett, final thoughts before we get out of here and go take a nap.
I am excited to see people in the comments. Projected Boogeyman did end up winning.
Yeah.
I was trying to get confirmation during the match, but again, Kevin being Alex's older brother. But if you still want to talk about it, I think Kevin's only 13 years old, Tam. That still might be the youngest age that someone has won a regional. Won a
Wow.
regional with, and has locked in his day 2 invite to the World Championships. This circuit, he gets to come on over to America and represent Spain and his locals. And I couldn't be more excited for it. And he played a real deck with real strategy and difficult matchups,
Yeah.
and climbed through the chaos symbol gauntlet, and he took it down. He took down the deck, a combination of the deck that won the last regional. He beat the most popular character at this tournament and the highest remaining seeded that he had to go second game 1. He did that in top 4, all the way down to finals, worked his way to going first on the match, and it made a big impact. Going first in games 1 and game 3, and then he got it. He did it. He did it so well. He did it so convincingly. Every opponent I'm sure he had, and what we even saw there on stream with Daniel, great gameplay on both sides. And here's the biggest thing, Tam. That Midoriya deck still wasn't even playing the new TMNT support that people thought was going to push his character over the edge, and did it without those cards. What a great story.
So cool. So cool. So incredibly happy for them. With that, you guys, thank you all for watching. Again, greatly appreciate it. It's been a blast. Make sure if you enjoyed these, you're watching the VODs and breakouts later, let me know down in the comments down below if you want to see more. And the goal is, by my lonesome, we'll see you next weekend to do the OCE regional. So with that, thank you all for watching. As always, I wish you well.